I'm Gretchen Menn, and welcome to a collaboration I'm doing with Breedlove Guitars to show you how I play this beautiful piece by Jimmy Page. I learned it not only because I play in Zepparella, a band that honors the music of the mighty Led Zeppelin, but also because it's just a totally beautiful piece of music, and it's really graceful and rewarding to play. This is part 2 in a series that I'm doing with Breedlove on an introduction to fingerpicking. These lessons are intended to help newer or intermediate players primarily, but they could also be helpful for more experienced players who are maybe newer to fingerpicking. Part 1 in this series, which we'll link below, covers some basics of hand position and tone and finger independence and walks you through a series of exercises which are intended to help prepare you to play this tune and can serve as a good foundation. I do encourage you to first check that out and work through the exercises, as they'll really expedite the learning process here. Even if you're a more experienced player, all I can say is I have yet to reach a level where periodic review of basic and fundamental concepts don't provide some sort of new insight. So keep a beginner's mind, and that'll really help you maximize learning. In researching for this video, I confronted an insecurity I've always had with this piece, and it's not so much how to play it as how to pronounce it. I discovered this is actually rather a debated point, and there are forums with long threads with widely varying opinions from people who all sound really confident. Wikipedia says the pronunciation for the Welsh word is
Bron Yr Aur.
And Robert Plant pronounced it totally differently at a show in 1973.
This is a thing called Bron Yr Aur.
And I even had one of my friends who has a family member who is Welsh show me how she would pronounce it.
Bron Yr Aur is a chest of gold, so it's called Bron Yr Aur.
So really, I have no idea how to pronounce it, but luckily I do know how to play it. So with that out of the way, here's an overview of the lesson. What I'll be showing you here is the way I play this song. The physical graffiti recording has little Jimmy-ish idiosyncrasies, so if you're intent on playing it exactly like the recording, this lesson will get you most of the way there, and then I encourage you to add any smaller details as you hear them. An app like Transcribe, which is one of my main resources for really being specific about learning stuff by ear, is great if you want to get forensic about it. So before we get started, it is my pleasure to introduce this gorgeous Breedlove. It's a Koa Pursuit Exotic Concert. Breedlove instruments are excellent guitars for fingerpicking, and to be sure, they're great with a pick as well, but they're versatile, they're balanced, and they're really responsive to the gentler attack of fingers. Because we're in an open tuning, I'm going to be referring to string numbers 1 through 6 rather than note names, as calibrating for the open tuning is just going to be way too confusing. And I'll be using the traditional way of referring both to fretting and picking hand fingers. Fretting hand will be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and picking hand will be P for thumb, I for index, M for middle, A for ring. And I'll be going through each section in this format. I'll demonstrate it slowly, I'll break it down for you, and then I'll demonstrate it closer to at tempo. And doing it this way without a lot of built-in repetition will help keep this video a more reasonable length, and you can always repeat sections and even slow down the playback speed on YouTube. I encourage you to start working on any new song with some active listening. I've labeled my sections based on what made sense to me, but you can label them however makes sense to you. But I will be referring to these sections as I've labeled them as we break down the piece. If you have the music really well in your ears and in your brain, it'll be much easier to learn. And then I suggest making a simple structure chart. This is a plain language description of the sections of the tune and requires really no music theory. Here's how I'd do one for Bron Yr Aur. Let's get tuned up. I'm using this Poly tuner. It's a clip-on. We're going to go from standard to the open tuning. So our low E string will go down to C. I recommend tuning up from a flat because strings can sometimes catch at the nut. And now we have A as usual. The D is going to go down to C. G stays the same. The B is going to go up to C, just a half step, and then E. Now expect to check that a couple of times because when you're tuning this far down, even really good quality instruments need a moment to settle in. So we have C, A, C, G, go up a little bit, C, E. Here's how to play it. You can think of it as 2 mini sections. Mini section 1, slide from the 2nd to the 3rd fret of the 5th string. I'm using my fretting hand middle finger and my picking hand thumb. I'm using a rest stroke here, but you can use a free stroke if you prefer. Then it's the open top strings ascending. So 3rd string with the I, 2nd string with M, 1st string with A. Mini section 2, it's the same right hand pattern, but everything shifts down a string and all open strings. So just 6th string, 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, still P-I-M-A. I suggest practicing each of the 2 sections until both feel comfortable and have a nice tone. Don't move on when you're just getting the mechanics. Make sure things feel good and sound good. This is probably the trickiest section of the piece because there's one little weird thing that if you haven't done it before can feel very awkward. So mini section 1, your fretting hand will be at the 2nd fret, 1st finger on the 5th string, middle finger on the 4th string, open 3rd string, ring finger on the 2nd string. And then the right hand pattern is P and A simultaneously on the 5th and 2nd strings, 3rd with M, 4th with I. So far so good, but now we have the tricky part. Fretting hand stays in position and the 4th finger frets on the 1st string, 3rd fret, pulling off to open. But what makes it feel unnatural is you need to hit the 5th string with your thumb, still fretted on the 2nd fret, right at the same time as the pull off with your 4th finger. So like this. If that feels way too weird, you can work toward it by hitting the lower note immediately after the pull off and then gradually work to bring the 2 notes closer together. So like this. It will eventually be a breeze, even if it feels odd at first. Then it's the 2nd string with M, 4th and 3rd strings simultaneously with P and I. 3rd finger of the fretting hand lifts and play the open 2nd string with M. So like this so far. Mini section 3, we're going to slide up from the 2nd to the 3rd fret of the 5th string with your 2nd finger hitting it with P. Open 4th string, I. Open 6th and 3rd strings played simultaneously by P and M. Open 2nd string with A. And then it's 6th, 4th, and 3rd with P, I, M. Now we move on to the 4th position. The fretting hand, with the 2nd finger's on the 5th string at the 5th fret. The 4th string is open. The 1st finger is at the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and the 2nd string has your 3rd finger at the 5th fret. The picking pattern is going to be P and A, 5th and 2nd strings, 3rd string with M, 4th string with index. Then it's the open 1st string with A, your 5th string with P, 3rd string with M, 4th string with I, and then the top 2 strings, M and A. And then you're going to do mini section 3 again. So at tempo, that whole section will sound like. This is mostly open strings, so we'll start with the middle finger of the fretting hand on the 5th fret of the 6th string, and then we have mini section 1, and it's mostly just a right hand picking pattern. So that pattern is going to be P and M on the 6th and 3rd strings, I on the 4th string, P on the 5th string, M on the 2nd string, P on the 5th string, I on the 4th string, open 6th and 3rd strings together, and then we're going to have the open 1st string with A. Mini section 2, we're going to shift positions, and then open 3rd string with I, open 2nd string with M, 6th string, 4th string, 3rd string. Just P, I-M. So what that sounds like closer to tempo is... Section C, and then we'll do C prime right after. The picking hand for this section is fortunately very straightforward. It's pretty much exclusively P-I-M-A. For each of these sections, you can break them down into mini sections by each arpeggio, but because the right hand pattern is so continually the same, it might mean you work through a couple of different arpeggios at a time, focusing on just smooth, graceful transitions. The first arpeggio, which is the same as the intro, you're going to be on the 5th string, sliding from the 2nd to the 3rd fret with your 2nd finger. So it's going to be P, and then 4th string open with I, 3rd string open with M, 2nd string open with A. The second arpeggio, which is the same as the A section, is going to be 5th string, 2nd fret, 1st finger with P, 4th string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger with I, 3rd string open with M, 2nd string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger with A. So you have so far 1st and 2nd. Now going between the 2nd and the 3rd arpeggio, notice you're going to have your 3rd finger that's going to stay in common. So I actually use it to slide up to this next position. You're going to be at the 4th position here. And you're going to hit the 5th string with thumb, P, and then the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings with I, M, A, all at the 4th fret. And then for the 4th arpeggio, it's going to be almost the same as the 3rd. What you're just going to do is you're going to lift your ring finger. And what I do is I like to wait until the last minute to move your 3rd finger so that everything still rings out and stays really connected. So 3rd to the 4th arpeggio. Then we have section 2, which is really just an extension of this last arpeggio, and it incorporates another little slur, a hammer on and pull off with your 4th finger. Fortunately, the tricky part is something we've already seen in section A, which is hitting a bass note at the same time as a pull off. So it's going to be here at the 4th fret, and you're going to be hitting the 5th string open with P, 4th string, 4th fret, 1st finger with index, 3rd string, 4th fret, 2nd finger with M, 2nd string, 4th fret, 3rd finger, and hammer on to the 4th finger at the 5th fret, and then you're going to pull off to the next bass note. So if that feels too weird, do the hammer on, pull off, and then hit the bass note. And then gradually work to bring those together. And then the last little bit of it is it's going to be 5th string, open, P, 4th string, 4th fret, 1st finger I, 3rd string, 4th fret, 2nd finger M, 2nd string, 4th fret, 3rd finger A, followed by the 4th finger being added the 2nd time through on the 5th string. And this little hammer on pull off with the bass note is going to happen 2 times before sort of a slowing down of that happens, where you just... And then you're going to go up the arpeggio, all at the 4th fret, and then you're going to add the 4th finger every other time. And then at the very last, when you're going to replace, or at least this is the way I do it, I replace my 3rd finger with my 4th finger so I can get my fingers in position to slide up to this D section, because the slide's kind of an important part of that sound. The C prime variation is when the section comes back on the repeat, and it incorporates just a slur into a different part of the repeated chords. So really it's just a reimagining of what you've already done before. So what you're going to be doing is the same initial arpeggios, and then slur. So the slur's there instead of at the repeated chord. And then that repeats 3 times. So then it's 2 cycles through these arpeggios, just adding the 4th finger every other time. Almost there, and we're at one of the easier sections. So the picking hand pattern is all ascending arpeggios. The first arpeggio, we're going to start on strings 6, 4, 3, and 2, all at the 5th fret, using fingers 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the picking hand pattern is just P, I, M, A. And then for the second arpeggio, we're going to slide up to the 7th fret and really lean into that slide because it's part of the sound. We're actually not hitting the low string again, though. We're just letting it ring out, and then I, M. And then we're going to lift our 4th finger right before hitting that open 2nd string. And then for the third arpeggio, we're going to have the 2nd finger sliding from the 2nd to the 3rd fret on the 5th string. And then it's going to be P, I, M, A on strings 5, 4, 3, and 2. And then P, I, M on strings 6, 4, and 3. One thing to be careful of is hitting the lowest string too hard, as it'll cause intonation problems. So on the last repeat of the D section, instead of going to the 3rd chord, what we're going to do is we're going to hang on the arpeggios that we might recognize from the previous section, but I use a different fingering here. I bar at the 4th fret and then add my 2nd finger every other cycle, like this. And it's P-I-M-A. And if you want to do it just like the album, it's 3.5 cycles, like this. And then it's this beautifulness. I'm using my pinky on the 5th string, 7th fret, 1st finger on the 4th string, 5th fret, and then it's open strings, and we're going to be ascending. So P, I, M, A. And then we're going to just shift that shape upwards. So now we've got our 4th finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string. And now we're just shifting up. Now the right hand stays the same on the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings, but we're shifting up one more set of strings here with our 4th finger now on the 7th fret of the 3rd string and our 1st finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So all together. And then if you want to be really specific, I think it's 6 repeats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then ending with just this open chord other than the 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. And you can really let your thumb just rake across those strings and get a nice arpeggio sound. Take your time and stay patient with yourself. Practice slowly and deliberately because quickness and fluency will come naturally if your process is good. Use the metronome to keep you honest. Most importantly though, have fun with it. Remember, this video has the various chapters for easy reference so that you can revisit the parts that are more difficult for you. I know we went through things kind of quickly. Once you have each section down, then work to start putting them together and build the whole picture from the smaller parts. Work the transitioning between sections too so that things flow gracefully, not just within the sections. Remember, even big challenges become surmountable with focus and perseverance. You will get it, I know you will, and I'm rooting for you. If this video might have been helpful to you, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps creators be able to continue to provide free educational resources. I'll be doing more videos with Breedlove in the coming months, so keep an eye out and leave a comment if there's something specific you'd like me to cover in an upcoming video. I wish you the very best on your musical journeys. It's an endless and beautiful path. Thank you so much for being here with me.